Good morning, Chairman Stile, Ranking Member Morelli, and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. To begin, the United States Constitution provides that state legislatures prescribe the time, place, and manner of holding federal elections. Florida law states that, quote, a person may become a registered voter only if that person is a citizen of the United States. In 2020, Floridians amended the state constitution to make clear that, quote, only a citizen of the United States shall be eligible to vote. Florida has approximately 13.5 million active registered voters, and that number changes every minute of every day. A person turns 18, a person passes away, or a person becomes a U.S. citizen and registers to vote for the first time. According to U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, 94,100 Floridians became naturalized U.S. citizens in 2023. The federal government has plenary authority over who becomes a naturalized citizen. The challenge states face is that there is not a federal legal status database that is current and reliable. The National Voter Registration Act, NVRA, of 1993, commonly known as the Motor Voter Law, introduced national procedures for voter registration. It mandates that any person who applies for a driver's license may, if eligible, submit a voter registration application for federal elections. When potential voters fill out a voter registration form, they must swear or affirm that they are a U.S. citizen. In Florida, it is a third-degree felony to falsely claim U.S. citizenship when registering to vote. Remarkably, however, federal courts have interpreted the NVRA to prohibit states from requiring proof of citizenship at the time a person registers. In effect, federal law forces the states to use the honor system. This is unacceptable. Because states are prevented from verifying citizenship on the front end, they must do so on the back end. Clean voter rolls become even more necessary for ensuring clean elections. Florida has robust voter roll maintenance procedures to identify registered voters who are not U.S. citizens. The names of potential non-citizens who attempt to obtain or renew a driver's license are reported to the Florida Department of State, which then conducts a manual, case-by-case investigation to determine whether the person is registered to vote and to confirm whether the person is in fact a U.S. citizen. Once the investigation is complete, and if the department determines that the person is registered but is not a citizen, the person cannot be removed from the voter roll without due process as provided by Florida law. Florida cannot verify the citizenship status of persons in the United States without the assistance and cooperation of the federal government. Indeed, the federal government is the only source of accurate, up-to-date information on the citizenship status of such persons. In 2012, after filing a lawsuit against the United States Department of Homeland Security, Florida became one of the first states to receive access to DHS's systematic alien verification from entitlement program, otherwise known as the SAVE database, for purpose of voter registration. Florida relies on this database to verify a person's citizenship status. But to be frank, the SAVE database is woefully inadequate. It is neither time nor cost efficient, and it requires an alien registration number, which states occasionally do not possess, to access the information. Perhaps most importantly, the database often lacks the most current information, which requires further time-consuming investigation. Indeed, because of the lack of timely information, states are sometimes unable to verify a person's citizenship status. That too is unacceptable. The federal government has a legal obligation to provide up-to-date citizenship information to the states. I urge Congress to address these deficiencies, which unfortunately can leave a gap in the state's ability to maintain clean voter rolls. At the very least, the federal government should provide immediate notification when a resident of the state is naturalized. DHS should also provide local election officials access to the SAVE database. Despite conducting a fair, honest, and efficient election in 2020, Florida did not rest on its laurels. In 3 successive legislative sessions, the Florida legislature passed substantial election integrity legislation. In 2022, for example, Governor Ron DeSantis signed a law creating the Office of Election Crimes and Security. This office conducts preliminary investigations into allegations of elections law violations or other election irregularities. OECS has referred non-citizen voting cases to law enforcement for further investigation. In 2004, the Baker-Carter report prepared by former President James Carter and former Secretary of State James Baker stated that, quote, fraud in any degree and in any circumstance is subversive to the electoral process, and that, quote, the best way to maintain ballot integrity is to investigate all credible allegations of election fraud and otherwise prevent fraud before it can affect an election. Voter fraud includes voting by non-citizens in federal elections. Every illegitimate vote of a non-citizen negates the legitimate vote of a citizen. In 2000, only 537 votes in Florida determined the outcome of the presidential race. Floridians have changed our state's constitution. We have strengthened our laws. We have engaged in litigation, and we have an office dedicated to investigating election crimes. The only impediment to doing more is the federal government. That's why states need action from our congressional leaders so we can fulfill our constitutional duties under the law.